ever looked at Zechariah 5 with the weight of measurements that were used and then
No,
kind of got
not with.
nosy behind our nuclear weapons?
No, let's look at that. Let's go to Zechariah 5 and let's I because of course, when you get into nuclear calculations, I get lost real fast. But let's look at it because you're looking at it from a pure capability of what it would do. And that you're saying that nuclear part is in Zechariah 5. So let me read here. It says, "Then I turned and lifted up my eyes, and behold, a flying roll. He said to me, What seest thou? I answered, I said, I see a flying roll. The length whereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits." So that would be like, 30 foot long and 15 feet wide. Okay?
Or 30 and when I broke down those calculations,
Yeah.
Pastor Paul, I came out to 30 point, according to the Hebrew, that was 34.3 feet long, 5.5 feet wide.
Okay.
That's the exact ratio of an ICBM launch vehicle.
Wow.
I mean, exact ratio.
Okay. So he sees this flying ICBM missile, probably nuclear warhead on it. And then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For everyone that's
Earth.
the whole earth, the whole
Yeah.
world is now under nuclear threat tonight, that's for sure. For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on the side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts. It shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. And it shall remain in the midst of this house, of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof.
That part, Pastor Paul.
Okay?
That part right there. Okay. This flying. He notice he didn't say scroll. He
No,
said
he said a
roll.
roll.
And
Right.
roll. In the Hebrew, that's Megillah. In the
Okay.
Hebrew, that's Megillah. And a
Megillah.
Megillah is a roll, right? It is in fact a roll. Then of course the measurements he gives, but he's about to talk about something else. But he's giving us. Zechariah knows what a roll looks like. He
Right.
knows what a scroll looks like.
Right.
But he's fascinated by seeing something, a scroll. He didn't, it's almost like he's having problems defining what this thing is. What is this thing? Because it comes up again. He's like, I don't know what this is. You tell me what this thing is.
Right.
Now, surely he's seen a scroll and a roll, right?
Yep.
Surely he has. But here we have the dimensions. We have the word Megillah used as a roll. Megillah means in the Hebrew, that word is in fact roll. The NIV uses deviants of that word, but you take it back to the original Hebrew, that is roll.
Yeah.
The measurements are in the ratio of an ICBM, right?
Wow.
Then he's about to say it stays in the house and it consumes the brick and it
Yeah.
consumes the wood,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, it
That
does.
is so something. It's almost like something ignited in the house of a thief is in the land. In the house of a thief is always in the land of impact, or the land that God's anger is against. And so in that area where all these thieves and liars and those who swear falsely, it's going to be ate up, and it goes across the face of the whole earth. And then when you continue to read, it gets
It's,
to these specific parts about a woman, right?
and it also says it's the weight of lead upon the mouth there. Read us what it said. It said, and what is it? He said, This is an ephod that goeth forth. He said, moreover, this is their resemblance through all earth. And behold, there was lifted up a talent of lead. This is a woman that sitteth on the midst of the ephod. Tell us
Now
about
you see
that.
that right there, Pastor Paul.
Yeah.
This is a woman that sits in the midst of the ephod. I can imagine them a long time ago, the translator saying, well, this is a piece of lead sitting in the midst of a 40-liter container. That just doesn't sound right, because an ephah, right, is in the Hebrew is a receptacle for measuring
It's a
dry
container.
things.
Yes, it's a
That's right.
container.
So a lot of people call it basket or whatever the case is, but come to find out through Hebrew search, it holds about 40 liters. And this lead, uranium 235, looks just like lead, just like
Wow.
lead. I'm sure that Zechariah probably would not really recognize what he's seeing, because he said, what is this? And Zechariah is trying to describe what he's seeing. So he's having a problem identifying a role. He should know what one looks like,
Right, he
right?
knows.
But
Yep.
he doesn't. Not this one.
Not this
And
role.
this thing he's giving, it's almost like he's talking about the triggering mechanism of a thermonuclear warhead.
Yep. And think about this. He sees a 34-foot missile, a roll. To him, it's a big roll flying through the air. I mean, think about that. 3,000 years ago, you see that, you're like, what is that? Are you serious? What is that? And he knows that it's made of lead. It's in a type of container that he calls an ephod looking thing, and it's heavy. Okay, it's heavy. And then he said, I lifted my eyes, I looked, and behold, there came out two women. The wind was in their wigs, in their wings. In their wings.
And you know what women is, right? That word women.
Okay.
Oh, this will blow you away.
Tell us that.
This will mess you up. Woman in the Hebrew is an Isha, right? Isha.
Okay, yes, that's true.
And that word Isha was used in other contexts of the Bible as meaning, it either means it is talking about the feminine based on the context. But in this context specifically, there was a character denoted in that scroll, which makes it not a woman, but a wicked fiery offering. A wicked fiery offering is what Isha is. This Isha, this woman. But they wouldn't have understood this back in the day. How could they wouldn't have understood this.
No, so they can't. No.
Now, if you take that word wicked fiery offering or fire offering, and you use that instead of woman, you're going to see exactly what I'm saying, because in the Hebrew, that's precisely what it is. Even the characters present in the original scroll concerning that.
Yeah. Wow. So he sees a nuclear attack, at least 2 nuclear warheads hitting.
He saw, let me read this one piece. He said, you read about the talent parts. He said, and this woman that sitteth in the midst of the ephah, right? That ephah, this receptacle, the woman, this fiery offering that sits in the midst of the ephah. And he said, this is wickedness. This is wickedness.
Yes.
Now, a woman sitting in the basket, that's not wickedness.
No.
But now a fiery offering sit in the midst of a container.
That's bad.
That's about to do something is wickedness. And he said, this woman that sits in the midst of the ephah. And after he said it was wickedness, he said, and he cast it into the midst of the ephah, into that container, that lead thing. He cast into the midst of the ephah. And he cast the weight of lead upon the mouth thereof.
Yeah.
That's a firing mechanism. When you fire U-235 into that radioactive material, that's what ignites a nuclear warhead, right? We're not talking about Hiroshima's weapon. We're talking about the ones we have today.
No, you're talking about
which blows me away, because Hiroshima had a different firing mechanism.
So
right?
this is talking about modern technology.
That's right. It's covering. It's even covering he's looking down into this thing. He didn't know what's happening, but. And then it goes, it's even worse than that, because he said he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came out 2 women, or 2 fiery offerings.
Right.
And the wind was in their wings. Most aircraft have what?
Wings.
2 jets.
Yes.
2 jets. All the aircraft that carry nuclear weapons are driven by jets with 2 fires coming out, 2 wicked fires coming out. And he says, look at this. He says, it was in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork. And they lifted up the ephah between the earth and in the heaven. So it's almost like he's describing a jet aircraft
carrying carrying missiles.
A weapon.
Yeah, carrying missiles.
Isn't that something?
With the wings like a stork, which would go like this. So he's seeing a nuclear warheads being carried on the wings of jets with the ability to bring wicked fire upon the earth. He sees this in Zechariah 5. And certainly, I mean, if
he even gives the reason.
Yeah, and look at this. Yeah, he even tells you the reason that it's going to happen. Thing is, folks, if you're listening right now and you say, well, I just don't know if the Bible's true, or, I'm not so sure I'm into prophecy. What are you going to do with this?
Are you kidding? The ratios really get me.
Yeah.
The lead gets me, because that's the firing mechanism. The description, when you take it back to the Hebrew, and you're talking about this fiery offering, and then you're talking about the Megillah, this container. and the lead going into the container, igniting this thing, and it's wicked, and it consumes the wood and the stones, and it stays there. Um, that you can't make that up. You
No, you
can't even
can't.
make that fit into anything rational. You
No,
can't do it.
it shows you that the prophecies of the Bible are in the coming to pass right now. We're living in these last days right now. And so, Mike, can we ask you this? And we